Alright guys, so it's been a few weeks since we last talked about Manor Lords, the latest updates that are happening to the game. We had a bit of a patch preview recently, so that's going to be interesting to talk about today, and a few other bits of discussions that are happening on Twitter and the Discord. Lots of interesting stuff, and there should be a new update coming out very soon. So that's what I want to talk about today in this video. We're going to talk about everything that's been happening in the world of Manor Lords and what we can expect next. Now, before diving straight into the video, if you don't own Manor Lords, and if you want to buy it after this video, you can pick it up for a massive discount on Instant Gaming, a reputable game key reseller I've been using for a few months now. They have a fantastic roster of games from Total War to Ghosts of Tsushima, Elden Ring, Crusader Kings, and more, and all of them have much bigger discounts than ever before. So if you're thinking about buying, make sure to click the link below to get your games for cheap and support the channel at the same time. Now let's get back to the video. So since the last time I covered Manor Lords in early July, we've had a great few interesting discussions on the Twitter from Slavic Magic, engaging the community there, and on the Discord with various votes. And as you know, he's very he takes a lot of feedback from the community to influence how he's developing the game, what should be included in the next big updates, etc. So highly recommend you check that out here. But what we're looking at right now is the upcoming patch, which should be releasing any moment, and the preview to some of the content that will be included in this update. So first things first, you can see here, we're going to be getting fishing ponds, a new iteration, the first iteration, hopefully, of a new body of water, which isn't going to just be cosmetic, as you can see here. It's going to give you access to a new food resource as well in fish. So this looks really good. I'm really glad Slavic Magic is adding this in. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for, new bodies of water, new ways to engage the landscape as well. Imagine building towns around big ponds. Like, this is all going to be really interesting to see. But also, just beyond all of this, there is a vote on the Discord, which works, I think, very hand in hand with this new fishing mechanic being added in. So if you go on the Discord, you can see the latest vote, which was posted a few days ago, is about food spoilage rates. And what that means is, you can fish, let's say 100 fish per month in your local town. But if, 50% of that fish you're fishing spoils, then actually you're going to have a much less amount of food being reliably produced and stored for your people to consume. So there's a really interesting little mechanic being added in here that I think a lot of people don't know about, and that is going to really add an in-depth challenge to your gameplay. So really interesting. Food spoilage is going to be added into the game. It's going to be a number of percentage. Hopefully that's what the majority of people have voted on here, which includes me, as you can see. And I think working hand in hand with meat, fish, I think fruit and bread and honey is going to be quite interesting. Honey will obviously have a much lower, I'm guessing, spoilage rate, if not at all, because honey doesn't spoil in real life. But meat, at least, especially, is going to be quite interesting to see. And I wonder if there are going to be different types of storage to minimize the spoilage rates as well, lower them. That's going to be really cool to see how that's being implemented. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Fishing ponds are being added in. They're getting a little freezing animation mechanic as well over winter. So obviously you won't be able to fish during the winter either, unless maybe you have a tech to kind of get access to those fish. Ice fishing is a thing. So that could be quite cool. And then we've got some new portraits that are being added as well. Cosmetic, always nice to see in every update. And of course, we've got new crossbows. A crossbow unit is being added in this update. This is kind of a still image here, but there is a tweet actually that is a video of the animation of these crossbow units, which looks really, really cool as well. So there's a reload animation to it, the firing animation as well, and it looks really, really good. I can't wait to see how this is going to work versus the archers, if they're going to replace them, what kind of equipment you're going to need to actually make crossbows as well. That's going to be quite cool. So as always, it's really nice to see new units in this game. I'm very interested to see how that's going to look when we finally get access to it. And then the other big piece of news that we haven't talked about yet is Unreal Engine 5. So we've known that Unreal Engine 5 is coming to the game for a little while now. This is now clearly in testing, and as you can see, it has a huge impact on graphic fidelity, specifically, especially for lighting and shadows as well. There's some really interesting stuff coming here. There are a few tweaks tweets in terms of for how Unreal Engine 5 is being implemented as well. So you can see the sharpness of the virtual shadow maps is really impressive. There are going to be new kind of graphic settings options as well, I've been told, so that should be quite cool. And all of this is going to be really impactful to performance and optimization. So it's all about running things smoothly as well as making it look really good too. So there's some really great bits of progress being made there, and Unreal Engine 5 is going to be a game changer, I think, for Manor Lords when it releases. So really interesting to see that. Apparently the highs are a little bit lower, so you don't actually need massive amounts of FPS, but the lows are higher, and that's the important thing about high FPS. Good, consistent FPS, no matter if it's snowing or sunny, or if you got loads of people on the map or just a few. Like, you really want consistency, and hopefully Unreal Engine 5 is going to deliver that. So that is a huge piece of new big progress coming to the game in the next patch as well. And then we've also got some smaller quality of life additions coming in this patch. A trade overview panel is coming, which is highly desired by the player community. Great to see that happening, as well as lots of other bug fixes. But there are features here that are coming that aren't included in this patch preview. I think it's this tab here. We've got, this is really cool. So any extra or surplus of livestock that you've got in a region is now going to be converted into meat and hides, which honestly, on first glance, looks like it's going to be quite overpowered. I mean, you can at the moment import and then basically breed sheep really, really quickly in Manor Lords, even though it's been nerfed a little bit in the latest updates. But you can now, with that surplus of sheep, you can start converting some of them into meat and hides. Same with goats as well. So and every other kind of livestock, but specifically those specific resources, those animals, which you can get loads of them in bulk, being converted into meat and hides, is going to be really overpowered. Really interesting, I think, to see that happening. And then another one here is this trade balance panel that we kind of talked about briefly in the preview. You can actually see what this is going to look like, or at least an early iteration of what it might look like. So you can see a breakdown of exports, imports, what that is per resource here as well, when these are happening, who is doing it, on what date, between which region. So this is really quite cool, really interesting to see. You know, maybe you've got a lot more meat than you are actually exporting, which you know, you need to figure out, why is that happening? Have you got some bottlenecking in this granary and it's just not moving? Maybe you need another one to spread things out, toggle off the marketplace stall creation. You know, there's lots of interesting stuff here that can be done to min-max trade exporting. So to have a trade panel is really positive to see. Someone commented that I think is a really good point, but a consumption overview would be really helpful too, here by this commenter. So having a bit of a panel like this that shows you when and how and by who, maybe not by who actually, but how various resources are being consumed as well, would be really, really interesting to see. So maybe, I don't know, I have two minds about it. Maybe it'll be a bit too much, a bit too granular in terms of what you're seeing your people doing, but it might also help you understand why a certain resource isn't being consumed enough, or too much of it, etc. So yeah, that would be really interesting to see as well. So this is another bit that's being added in, which would be really cool. And then finally, which I really, really like, is there is going to be a consumption and production limit added to your various production centers. So a dye's workshop here, as you can see on the screen, will have a limit to how many berries it can actually use from your pool, your stock of berries. And I mean, therefore, that should already limit what you can produce. But if you didn't want to do that, you can actually set a production limit as well, which is quite cool. So yeah, a really interesting new feature being added in here. Having limits, I think, gives the player a bit more ownership and influence in terms of what you can be producing, where and how as well, in terms of flexing that around seasonal changes. You know, maybe you've got a bunch of wheat farms that aren't producing as much for some reason this year, so you need to limit the amount of consumption in your bakeries or your windmills, because you need to just manage how that is all flowing down, trickling down to your community, and vice versa. I wonder if there's going to be a bit of a limit that is going to be implemented for actual houses and people, limiting how much they're able to consume, how much access they have on marketplace marketplaces just to be able to distribute the products to the rest of your town as well. So a really interesting new feature here. Very interested to see how this is actually going to work. And that's it for today, guys. It's been roughly 6 weeks since I last covered Manor Lords. I want to do this every month, really do a video going through all the latest news, the next patch that's going to be revealed hopefully soon, how this might impact the game, its gameplay. And there's some really interesting stuff coming in the next patch. And that's why I really, really like Manor Lords. It's not just being sold on the game itself and how it plays right now, but actually going on this journey of seeing how it progresses and evolves into a better version of itself with every patch and update. And I think this is going to be a big one. I mean, Unreal Engine 5, food spoilage rates, limitations to production, new units as well. It's just going to be a very big, interesting update, I think, for the game. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, give it a like and drop any thoughts or questions in the comment section below, and subscribe for more Manor Lords videos just like this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.